If you want to be more efficient and effective while running your business with more inner peace, then working on the core of your issues instead of putting on a band-aid is vital. Welcome to the Business Brain Podcast.
I'm your host, Esty Rapport, and here to help you improve your 28 cognitive functions, the 28 things that make up thinking. In each episode, we'll discuss a real-life challenge, why you might be struggling with it, and give you practical strategies so all areas of your life will improve. When Deborah saw other participants in the ADHD brain cohort using the concept of zooming in and zooming out, she felt a bit lost. The basic concept of zooming in to see the details and zooming out to see the big picture, Deborah understood. But it left her with questions with how much, to what extent, when do I jump back and forth? This was especially true in an abstract situation. By improving the thinking skill related to zooming in and zooming out, not only did Deborah use this strategy all the time, she also started teaching it to her employees, families, and friends. If you're experiencing something similar, I'm here to tell you do not have to struggle forever. In this episode 492 of the Business Brain Podcast, I'm going to share with you the exact steps of what you can do to have your own transformation. But first, do you struggle with procrastination, distractions, time management, or overwhelm? What if it was no longer a struggle? And not because of some superficial hack, but rather because your brain just no longer struggled with it. It is possible because you can create new neural connections in your brain where those challenges are no longer a challenge. Learn more about how we can work together to make this happen at lifepeaksuniversity.com/OYB. While you are doing any task, you, without even realizing it, are using your 28 thinking skills. When the thinking skills you need to use are strong, doing a task happens easily. When the thinking skills you need to use are weak, doing the task will be a challenge. The struggle that Deborah had came from a weak thinking skill of categorizations. Categorizations is an interesting thinking skill as it works both ways. You can either take a big group and split it into small groups, or you can take small groups and put it into a big group. This is directly related to zooming in and zooming out. When you zoom in, you're putting items into small groups. When you are zooming out, you're putting them together in bigger groups. To help Deborah, we started in the most concrete way possible. I had her take out a bunch of crayons and put them together in one big group of crayons. Then I asked her to put each crayon in its own group. So we had the two extremes, one a massive group and many tiny groups. Then I had her make median groups. So for example, all the greenish ones can go together in one group and all the orangish colors can go in another. I had her sort the crayons in multiple ways so she can see over and over again there are different levels of groups that we can make. Categorization gets more challenging as we move up in abstractness. I showed Deborah a picture and had her tell me the biggest group. What is this whole picture? Then I asked her for single groups, individual items within this picture. And then we went to the median groups. What are some groups within this picture? And then we moved up in abstractness. I had her do the same thought exercise with tasks that she needed to do this week. What is the big massive group of all the tasks she needed to do, the tiny individual ones, and the medium groups in between. All this was about improving categorization so that way she can have a better understanding of zooming in and zooming out. Once she felt confident in categorizations, automatically how she thought about zooming out and zooming in was different. It just clicked and it sat there and she was able to use zooming in and zooming out, not just with herself, but also with her employees. It was no longer about should I zoom in or zoom out? It now became how much should I zoom in and zoom out? And her brain knew what she needed in that situation. Zooming in and zooming out is directly related to the thinking skill of categorization. Finding it challenging to know when to zoom in or to zoom out, do some categorizations activities by taking a group of items and seeing how does this go in one big massive group, how do I put it in tiny groups, and how do I put it in different sized medium groups. And even ask yourself, when do I need each one of these groups? If you want even more practice on this, check out episode 438 where we discussed about zooming in and zooming out from a slightly different angle. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.
That's all for this episode of the Business Brain Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with 2 of your business friends so they too can gain from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025. Cheers to peak brain performance.